Men, do you ever feel like when in a situation where you are just angry, you are grasping at some way to figure out how to calm down? And never mind some way, it's how do you calm down? What do you do to calm down? I am Jesse, and this is the Valiant Lifestyle. And what I do is I arm men with some of the best tools and ammo when it comes to day to day life, the day to day struggles that we as men endure in amongst our families, our friends, and sometimes coworkers. Before I get started, I want to invite you to subscribe if you haven't, and if this is your first time watching, welcome. Just hit the little subscribe button over here where my finger is wagging. Hit all. And what that does is it sets you up with all my content. When it becomes available, you will be notified. And if this is your familiarth time back watching me, welcome. Welcome back. All right. So today, what I am discussing, and the title of this will be what does a blended family dad do to calm down from anger? What do you do? What do you do? How do you even start? What do you even think about? Holy, they're just, you're spiraling out of control, right? Okay, here's how you do this. You start breathing. And many of you will go, oh, this again. I learned this from some app. I did this because of a suggestion my friend made when I was angry. Yeah, but it works because what you do is you concentrate on your breath. Because you're not much good to yourself if you don't get any clarity up here. All you're thinking about is how angry I am, and you can't even think about what to do next because you're so, let's just say that anger builds as you get angrier. So what I tend to do in situations where I find myself angry, and it could be just as much as a trigger from one of the kids, it could be my wife, could be something from the environment. In the past, what I've done is I've been angry and I've been snarly about it. And what I've learned to do is really just look at what it is. Because it was never about my kids or my wife or my coworkers. It was always about me. It was always about something that I didn't do or get to do, or no, let's start that again. It was always about something that I get to do now. And what does that even mean? It is typically a trigger from something that I did or I used to do or I did and it really wasn't resolved. So it was similar, or it is a similar situation now presenting itself. And just like that, I'm flared up about it. I'm irritated. I am angry. And it had nothing to do with the kids. They just, or my wife, or my coworkers. It had nothing to do with them. They just helped bring it out. And you might say, well, that sounds rather facetious and maybe they were being malicious. No, none of that. None of that. It was circumstantial. It was some sort of little traumatic experience. It was something somatic within the body that I have decided to look at within myself. What I say when I'm in this situation where I'm angry, I go, okay, what am I going to do here now? What is it that I got to really look at? How do I get myself down from this? What am I doing to get myself away from this situation? And it'll look like this. I make a little time for myself. I go sit down somewhere, or I go and isolate myself for 5 minutes. I get clear on what I'm angry. Yes, I acknowledge that. what do I got to do from here? Okay, well, I've got 2 kids, a wife, and we're traveling, and we're going to get on an airplane. I am no good to them if I am if I'm bubbling angry. Because what does that do to them? Makes them feel like it's them that did it. It makes them feel like it is their fault. It makes them actually less able to help me, because now I start to deregulate them. I now start to make them feel upset about something that is totally mine, and it becomes an uncooperative situation. So what does a blended family dad do to calm down? I breathe. I take a little time for myself, just enough. And then I find a way to not distract myself. I find a way to, if it's a pressing place like an airport and I'm making flights, or it's in traffic, or I don't really have time in that moment to process all that. And my feelings in that moment are valid. But I can deal with that later. I can deal with that in maybe, let's say, in the evening, when I can sit with myself and go, okay, all right, what happened today? Why was that an issue? Because 9 times out of 10, it actually gets easier when you provide yourself. Don't look at this me shirking the problem. You got to provide yourself with some time and some clarity later, and you got to make a promise that you're going to sit with yourself and go, okay, I didn't deal with that very well, and this was the issue. This is how I got to deal with it next time. This was the problem. And if it ends up being a situation where you get angry and you end up barking and getting upset at your spouse, like sometimes I take ownership, responsibility for getting them upset in a way. And if it's really bad, I apologize for it, my behavior, because it was my behavior that disrupted their ability to be able to get some clarity in those moments. And I'm not saying that it's my responsibility to make them feel good. They get to respond, the choice to respond on and how to look at the situation. But I've got to take responsibility for my own actions, because what I do is, in that moment or in those moments, is lead them through someone could be upset, I can be upset, they can be upset. It's okay to be upset and be angry. And it's also okay to be upset and take responsibility for your own actions. Because that's what adults do. That's what children are learning to do over and over again until they become adults. So I'll probably get a mixed bag of comments on this one, and that is okay. What I aim to do is to give you some ammo, to give you some support, and to let you know that it is okay for one to be angry. It's okay to feel your feelings. And sometimes you really got to make time a little bit later, because the circumstance of which presents itself may be a situation where you really got to have your mind. As a man, you really got to have your mind. You really got to have your ability to troubleshoot, solve problems, to get from point A to point B. And you might not have time in those moments to be upset. You got to do that. You got to make time for yourself to do that a little bit later. It's called part of a grievance. It's part of feeling your feelings. That's what was going on in my head. All right. So if you like this, I'm sure you will. I'd love for you to reach out. And if this really spoke to you and resonated, and you're feeling like, I want some help, I want some clarity on this, I'd love to be able to sit with you. So go to thevaliantlifestyle.com and book your 30-minute complimentary call with me, and we'll listen. I will listen to you, and we can figure out a plan. We can talk about what you want to do that would be of best benefit to what you want to do. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is to grow, is to expand, is to get better at this, right? So I'd like to thank you for tuning in today, and let's do this.